Giving you a fool. They know I'm the topic.
Yeah, 2500.
They heard I'm the topic. I keep them talking, my ears are open. I can hear what they saying. I'm feeling like Martin. I keep it stepping. I'm kicking knowledge like I'm putting out pans. Just X around and you can tell how I'm rocking. You'll get the message. I ain't sending out spam. The streets is talking and they know that I'm popping. I'm feeling like I got the word in my hand. They heard I'm the topic. I keep them talking, my ears are open. I can hear what they saying. I'm feeling like Martin. I keep it stepping. I'm kicking knowledge like I'm putting out pans. Just X around.
Hello, folks. Doc here, and welcome to this week's episode of Truth and Heart with Doc. Hopefully, wherever you are as safe and as whole and as healthy, you and your loved ones, as can be. I know that for many of us, we remain under stay-at-home orders, but I also know that certain parts of our country and our economy are starting to open back up. So, wherever you are, if you're still under stay at home orders or if you are moving around, I pray and hope that you are well, that you stay safe, and that you stay mindful. Um, all right, so, and also I know that there are a lot of economic concerns and pressures right now, and so I feel that I totally understand that. And so we're going to get to some of that in our segment today. So let's get started. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be discussing relationships and relationship issues in some of its various forms because I think that everything, the majority of what you do in life is about relationship, relating to someone in one capacity or another. I believe we are relational beings. We were created to be in relationship, and I think that we need to be mindful and at least remain conscious of the various issues and dynamics that may present themselves in relationships from time to time and be equipped or at least be open to checking ourselves, checking some of our ways of thinking and how we think this should go in terms of how we respond to conflict and tension when it presents itself, when they present themselves. So, with that said, today I want to talk about something that unfortunately I think many of you can relate to and have experienced, present company included. And that is tense in law interactions and situations. And so, for those of you who are Housewives fans, I'm a big Housewife fan, in particular, Real Housewives of Atlanta. And so there is this ongoing tension between one of the housewives, Kandi. We know her from as a group member from the group Escape. Todd, who was her husband, and Miss Joyce, or Mama Joyce, as she is affectionately known as or goes by. And so Kandi and Todd have been married now, what, 5, 6 years maybe? And so they each have children, a daughter from previous relationships. And now they have two little ones. Little Ace, he's a doll. And little Miss Blaze, honey, I guess December, January, March, April, almost 6 months. And so they have two children together. Then they each have a daughter from previous relationships. So it's a blended family. And so Miss Joyce, from the start, from the gate, has always expressed her concerns about Todd um, having an ulterior motive or seeking to bring about ulterior gains from his relationship with Kandi. Which, by the way, this isn't new because remember, I think it was Candy's fiance when she first came on the show like 10, 11 years ago, AJ. Miss Joyce didn't like him either, and AJ unfortunately um, was murdered at a club some time ago, and so that's what led to the end of that relationship. So Miss Joyce is consistent in her concerns, at least from what we've seen on the show. She had the same concerns about AJ that she has about Todd. And so um, things really kind of heated up on the last episode of the season a couple of weeks ago, and I've been keeping up with the blogs. And so Miss Joyce still has shared her opinions and her concerns with Kandi about Todd, um, financially primarily, and also her concern that if something were to happen to Kandi, Todd would not step up and take care of or provide for Candy's daughter, Riley. And so apparently there was some kind of exchange between Todd and Kandi. I mean, between Todd and Mama Joyce. And I think they were at the OLG restaurant, Kandi and Miss Joyce, and Todd was there, and Todd chose not to come over and speak to Miss Joyce because he was angry. And apparently that angered Mama Joyce quite a bit, and she decided not to attend Kandi and Todd's baby shower for little Blaze because of that incident. And so let's talk about this because I just recently saw an article with Kandi from a few days ago where she says she and her mom are rather old school and she thinks that Miss Joyce should be given respect as the elder no matter what. Let's talk about this. I'm a firm believer in respecting my elders as well. I was reared to have nothing but respect, but especially for the elders. But within that, I don't quite recall elders thinking that they could just be flip or disrespectful about their interactions with others either, thinking that just because you got that silver gray hair and I'm 17 and you 85, that that respect is just one way. So I don't remember that piece. And I wasn't taught that either. But I think this is an interesting dynamic for folks if you find yourself in this dynamic with your in laws, because this can create tension and dynamic in your relationship with your person, with your significant other, with your spouse, with your partner, with your husband, with your wife. Folks, we got to be clear about how we're going to handle this because I cannot tell you how often I have seen relationships or marriages come to an end, and a big factor or a big um, issue that was there was these in law relationships. And related to that, how one person felt like the other person didn't have his or her back, didn't have their back, didn't protect them, didn't stand up for them, even when it came to that person's parent. This is a tough one. Um, I think that in any relationship, I don't think that people have to agree on everything, but there are three things that I think folks should be in agreement with: faith, finances, and family. Even if you two are of a different religious background, whatever that may be, I think there should be clarity in how you two are going to manage your religious beliefs or the lack thereof in your relationships. Money, same thing. Family, let's talk about this. Yes, for those of you who are, Christian, Judeo-Christian background, yes, the Bible does say that when two become one, you quote unquote leave and cleave. I understand that. I get that. But folks, yes, you are marrying or partnering with that individual person. But that individual person also comes with his or her family experiences, with his or her family values, beliefs, ideals. And so they bring that into the relationship with them as well. And y'all, we got to get clear with each other on this. I understand, I get and I understand how two people, y'all love each other. Yes, love is nice. I'm a huge fan of love. Believe it or not, I am a hopeless romantic. I understand that, but it's got to be more to it than just this touchy feely feeling. What happens, or how do you manage this? And I feel like Kandi, maybe struggles with this from time to time, as do many of us, or some of us have, or currently. How do you manage that when or if your partner has an issue with how your parent treats him or her? You can't help but to feel stuck in the middle. You, you can't help but to manage that. And so, yes, this person is your parent. This person gave birth to you. This person has reared you. All of that. I understand that. But when you and that doesn't stop when you enter into a relationship or a marriage. But I wonder if the priority should shift. I wonder if the priority should change some because there's nothing like feeling like your partner does not have your back at all times. And when I say have your back, stand up for you, not allow anybody at any given moment to feel like it's okay for them to disrespect you. That right there, folks, I think more than anything, I think that is a huge source of, of disconnect in relationships because I think that leads to breakdown in other ways. If you don't protect me, right? Protection isn't just about physical protection. Yeah, you ain't gonna let nobody hurt me. I understand that. Protection is also financial, but also emotional. Can I trust you to have my back? Can I trust you to defend me and to stand up for me and to not let anybody at any given moment think that it's okay? And I got to be honest with y'all, we show and teach others how to treat us. So it's not just about what you say, it's also about what you don't say in terms of that boundary that slips. So people watch. And so if you set up and create the dynamic or the impression that it's okay for somebody to feel like they can disrespect or cross a boundary a little bit with your person, you set the tone for that. It's going to continue to happen. I think this is interesting, in particular with Kandi and Todd and Miss Joyce, because Mama Joyce, because I'm a long time OG housewife fan. Y'all remember when Todd's mother, Miss Sharon, God rest her soul, because she's passed on too. But y'all remember when she was on the show as well? How bitter that thing was between her and Mama Joyce? I wonder if that is still there in Todd's mind. And if it is, why shouldn't it be? Or why wouldn't it be? Right? Just like Kandi is Mama Joyce's, Todd was Miss Sharon's too. So no parent wants anyone to feel like they can just treat their child in any given way, in any given way at any given moment. And in this way, I'm old school as well. I don't care if I'm 25, 35, and the parents are 55, 65. They're still in the parent role and I'm still in the child role, and I feel like there's still that certain dynamic and tone that the elders should set. And when mom grows up and decides to partner or marry someone, I hope that you know not only will I treat her person, hopefully he'll treat her right and open up my heart to him. I'm hopeful that whoever my daughter winds up with will open up his or her heart the, to her and that person's parents as well. So, y'all, it goes both ways. It goes both ways, you guys. We got to get clear and stay clear in our marriages, in our partnerships, in our relationships about what are our joint values. What do we want our relationship to look like together? I'm very clear at no given moment, and I think two people should be clear with themselves about this. You guys have got to set up what your boundaries are as a couple. And I don't think it's ever okay for anybody to feel like they can cross that. Y'all chime in below. Let me know what y'all think. But faith, family, and finances. In particular, family, I, that disconnect and that tension, if it's there with the in-laws and one person feels like he or she is caught in the middle of trying to, please his or her parent, but also feeling like trying to please his or her partner or spouse, that kind of stress, it can't help but to seep into the personal relationship between the partners in one way or the other. And I think it'll be difficult to still try and hold on to that. How do you manage that? Chime in below, y'all. Check into the discussions for me, but I've seen it time and time again, professionally as well as personally, y'all. I think that, again, elders want respect, but I think elders should engage in a respectful way as well. Just because you're silver and gray haired, I don't think that ever gives you a pass to be disrespectful or to overstep boundaries with other people. I just don't. And again, I'm very mindful and I defer to my elders all the time. But again, the elders that I've been reared with, they were not provocative either. So let me know what y'all think. And even if a parent does have concerns about his or her child's the motivation of their person, their partner, their husband, their wife, their significant other, eventually that's the child's choice. So you can express your concern, right? But eventually, as adults, we all do what we choose to do. Y'all chime in below. Let me know what y'all think. Faith, finances, and family. I feel like whatever that is, two people, those, if you are in agreement or not in agreement on those three things, I think, especially family, y'all, that will pivot. That can impact the entire dynamic in your relationship. Okay? Chime in below. Let me know what y'all think. We got to move on. So this week, I wanted to do um, a mental health Q&A. This is your opportunity to, chime in and be my guest host, so to speak. And so I've gotten quite a bit of feedback and responses that some of you have regarding mental health topics and concerns. And so the most common consistent feedback that I've gotten is in light of our current pandemic or global crisis, related to our routines being interrupted, anxiety, and stress management. So let's start with that. I think just in general, what triggers anxiety is the feeling that there's some impending or looming doom or event that is going to happen or that you are about to encounter, and that your coping skills, your resources are not going to be able to manage whatever is going to happen. And I also think that another trigger to anxiety can be, feeling like things are too much out of your control or too much out of your grasp, right? And so then folks begin to feel anxious or panicked or worried and have a very difficult time managing that emotion or that internal state. And I can see and I understand how all of this, what we're dealing with, impacts that, right? Because, quote unquote, life as we knew it, December, January, part of February, that's been suspended right now for many of us, right? And so this has been anything but routine and familiar for us in terms of what how we used to go about our way and how we're used to doing things. And so I want to talk about different ways maybe that we can create some kind of routine for ourselves, some kind of strategies for how we can manage stress, and also some kind of suggestions for how we can not control the unexpected, but how we can better manage ourselves in light of the unexpected. First and foremost, I think a huge trigger for folks to feel anxious is a loss of income or is income being cut. Yeah, that'll make you feel unsettled. And so let's talk about this. I know that unemployment, the filing rates, the reporting rates for unemployment, I believe, is at a historic high. And so, have those of you who maybe money or you know finances are a trigger for the anxiety, have you reached out to your creditors? Right. The thing that we have to remember is that while there's so much outside of our grasp, outside of our reach that we don't know, let's focus on the things that we can impact directly. So let's start with creditors. Have you reached out to your creditors? Have you reached out to your mortgage or your mortgage holder, your lien holder on your house, or to the property management company at your rental property, at your apartment, where you or townhome or home that you may be renting? I know that right now, because these are just such unprecedented times, I know that many mortgage and lease and property rental companies are postponing payments, are pushing payments, if not at the end of the loan, extending the loan terms or the lease terms or the mortgage terms. Many creditors, such as your car companies, um, are extending payments, as well as your credit card companies. I know that, where I am, the utility companies, gas and light and water companies, have said that they will not interrupt service right now due to a lack of payment. Even for cable, same thing. Even cell phone, I just got my bill in the mail. They said they were not, and my bill is current. I'm on time, but it was a note, a standard note that they printed on all the bills. They're not going to interrupt service right now due to non-payment because of the pandemic and because of the economic crunch that a lot of folks find themselves in. So what I'm getting at, folks, is control what you can. Are there food pantries in your area? Are there relatives that you can call upon that can maybe help you with gas or food? Are there things about your finances or about your overhead, your monthly expenses that maybe you can cut? I don't know. Can you cut cable? Can you, I don't know, maybe, um, I don't know, pare down on other expenses, other non necessities, so to speak. Again, let's focus on what we can manage and impact. As it relates to anxiety from the outside, non money related, I got to be honest with you. The news and the influx of the news right now and the crisis is so nonstop, it's ongoing. Maybe it's time to unplug, to not watch as much news. I'm not saying ignorance is bliss and just not being aware, but what I am suggesting is that maybe it's time to kind of unplug a little bit, to limit or contain the amount of the news, the media that you're consuming. That can definitely impact your anxiety, your stress levels, as well as sometimes your sleep patterns, right? So again, folks, when we're trying to manage, our anxiety, when we're trying to manage, right, our thoughts and our responses to our thoughts, there are things within our environment, within our control that we need to be mindful of that we can manage on our own ourselves. And lastly, I know that, with my businesses, we're doing telehealth, right? And so that means because we're not able to go into our offices and people are not able to come in to see us, we're providing services via these devices, these wonderful devices that we have now, right? On our phones, on our computers, on our tablets. Many mental health providers right now are providing telehealth services because we realize, in particular, how stressful all of this can be to folks and how these times may really kind of trigger an increase in symptoms or in things that have pretty much resolved themselves as best as they could. And now all of this uncertainty has kind of been a ripple effect into everything else. So I would encourage you to Google Psychology Today, psychologist near me, psychiatrist near me, licensed clinical social worker near me. The majority of us have online profiles through various websites and search engines. And so wherever you are, I would hope and I encourage you to Google some mental health provider if you feel like you are in need. Because again, many of us are providing telehealth services. So there is no need to sit and suffer in silence on your own, folks. Right? And I think for me, that is one of the joys and the beauty of technology. And times like this, it can really help us to stay connected and to help us still meet the need when there is a need, right? And so our telehealth services are provided, some use Zoom, Google Meet, Doxy Help, right? So there are various ways for you to still connect and get additional mental health support if you need it. Please do not suffer in silence, folks. We are here. We realize that this is an unprecedented time. My colleagues and I, my fellow mental health providers and I, we realize it. And we are here to help. But we don't know that you need help if you don't reach out to us and tell us. Again, you don't have to suffer in silence. Those are just some of the suggestions um, that you can use to manage your anxiety. And also, try to create a routine for yourself. Routine, again, as best as you can, for those of you who may be working from home, still try to get up. I think there's a difference between working from home and at home working. Some may see that as semantics, but I think If you are at home working, if that's how you want to frame it to yourself, I think that sometimes that may help you to stick to your routine a little bit differently, right? You get up, you get dressed, maybe not the full dress attire that you would wear into the office, but you have your breakfast, you drink your coffee, you do what you do to still create some kind of structure and routine for yourself, right? You put on whatever you put on, maybe again, not business casual attire, but I don't know, but still get up and get dressed. That will help. I think that can hugely help. Um, and also, another mental health Q&A that I received as well was about how do we still find a way to stay connected right now in light of the stay at home orders and the pandemic. For many of us, we are not able to have graduations. I'm not sure if my daughters will be having her eighth grade graduation. A lot of high school seniors and college seniors may not have that in person walk across the stage experience, proms, baby showers, weddings. Again, the beauty of these, as best as you can, it's no substitute because I do realize that for many of us, that relationship, those experiences, we like to feel it, taste it, smell it, touch it. I get that. But right now, how do we use technology to our advantage? Um, my sisters and I are having um, a Zoom happy hour this weekend because we miss each other. We're just being creative. We miss each other. And so we're going to sit down. We've all cleared our schedules. We're going to sit in front of these devices and we're going to connect as best as we can, right? I don't think you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, folks. I have seen several times on the news in the past month for folks who are having their weddings. While the number of people in attendance has been limited, I've seen several weddings over the last month where some of their attendants, maybe 30, 40 cars, will be sitting in their cars and watching from a distance. Or the couple would come outside and the attendants would drive by and give their well wishes. Same thing with birthday parties or baby showers. Listen, I know that this is challenging, and these are milestones and major events in our lives that we have to adjust to. But I don't think that means we just don't do something to commemorate the event or the moment. So let me know what you think. Chime in below, folks. That's it for this week's episode of Truth and Heart with Doc. Let your mind be clear to recognize the truth and your heart open to receive it. Take care. See you next time.